Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And today I'll be reviewing as another one of my favorite Van Damme movies, which I always enjoyed. And I would say it was probably put in my top three favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme films. And this came out in 1994, and which marks the 30th anniversary for this film because, yeah. 2024, 1994, yeah. So yeah, 30 years ago. So the one I'll be reviewing for a 30th anniversary would be of Timecop. Now, Timecop is another one I want to review for a long time as well. Well, several other films I wanted to review for a long time, but still. But Timecop stars Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I always enjoyed this film. Many consider this to be one of Van Damme's best ones. I would understand that because I said I would put this in my top three favorite, if not my top five. And it's another really good, solid Jean-Claude Van Damme film. And so. Now, the film is actually based on a comic book from Dark Horse. Now, Dark Horse Comics has done other films based on its property, like from the Hellboy movies, the ones that Guillermo del Toro did, but also the 2019 though. But I like both those. The 2019 reboot, no, and I heard that they're trying to reboot it again. Stupid. But that's Dark Horse. Another one that I always grew up watching, The Mask with Jim Carrey. That's based on a Dark Horse comic book, which also came out the same year as Timecop. And there was another one that it was a failure. I'm not a fan of the movie though. It had good special effects though, but that was about it. And that was of Virus. It was a 1999 movie called sci-fi movie called Virus. It was based on Dark Horse. It starred Jamie Lee Curtis, William Baldwin, and Donald Sutherland. I mean, it's good on its effects though, but it was a failure, and I wasn't a fan of Virus. I mean, even Jamie Lee Curtis was not a fan of that movie either. So, but that was another one that was based on Dark Horse comic property though. Same with this film. Now, and one thing is, it's three producers, but one of them is director Sam Raimi. And Sam Raimi, he also produced another Van Damme film that was of year before this. That was of Hard Target, which I love. Another favorite Van Damme film of mine, I love Hard Target, the one that John Woo directed. Great villain by Lance Henriksen, also Arnold Vosloo as well. The late Wilford Brimley as well was also in it too. I love Hard Target, that's another one. But Sam Raimi also helped produce on that though, which a while ago I did not realize he produced on both these movies. I guess because, this is a Dark Horse, he did. Well, I guess at the time he was doing Darkman, that was Universal property though. So, I guess with a relationship with him and with Universal, I guess he stuck around to produce a couple more though. So, and but not only the director Sam Raimi, he produced it, he didn't direct it though. But the director of this film is which I am a big fan of. It's directed by Peter Hyams. Now, Peter Hyams, I have always been a fan of this guy as a director. I'll put him as one of my top. I would say probably my top three favorites because one, like I said before, John Carpenter and Steven Spielberg. I'll probably say that Peter Hyams, I'll probably put it as like my top three, if not in my top five though. But for the possible ever now of other directors I enjoy though, but I'll probably say top three as right now. I would say. As my third favorite director, because like I said, John Carpenter, Steven Spielberg. But I love Peter Hyams. You know, he has overall his all the films he's directed are overall very good and solid, and I really enjoyed him. Of course, let's see, with and plus he directed all films of different kinds of the genre, right? I mean, if you want to go comedies, he directed Running Scare with Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines. He directed Stay Tuned with John Ritter. Enjoyed both those movies. Or some a bit of drama like The Presidio with Sean Connery and Mark Harmon. And he also directed another film with Sean Connery, Outland. Great film with Sean Connery. I really enjoyed that film a lot. One of my favorite Sean Connery movies. Outside his James Bond role, it's definitely one of my favorite roles from Sean Connery. Outside his James Bond role. But Outland, I really love. 2010, the year we made contact, the sequel to Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey, really solid, and I would say probably a worthy sequel, because when you're doing sequels, or even if it's a reboot to a Stanley Kubrick movie, it's hard to comprehend his work, you know. Like, for instance, Doctor Sleep, sequel to The Shining, right? I thought director Mike Flanagan, I think he did a worthy job of trying to do a sequel to a film that Stanley Kubrick directed, you know, and that was of The Shining. I enjoyed Doctor Sleep with Ewan McGregor. So yeah, 2010, year we made contact, it was a very solid, I would say, worthy movie, especially a sequel to a Stanley Kubrick film that was of the classic 2001: A Space Odyssey. And with us that in 2010 starred Roy Scheider from Jaws. It was a really, really good, solid sequel. And then, of course, when he did the action films when he worked with Van Damme again with Timecop, Sudden Death, and of course, and later on in 2013, he would start another one with Van Damme called Enemies Closer, which I like though, but it's not in the same. Which I think that Timecop and Sudden Death are much better than that movie though, but it's flawed though. But I overall did not mind Enemies Closer. Never hated it. Then of course with other action stuff, like thrillers, like Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman and Ann Archer. That was a solid thriller as well. I enjoyed that. Beyond Reasonable Doubt with Michael Douglas was, or the Star Chamber as well. That also starred Michael Douglas as well. Honestly, I'm not kind of overall big on those two movies though. But I've seen worse. But then horror films. I love End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. One of my favorite films of his. I love End of Days. You know, the only horror film that Arnold's done. Him versus the Devil. Always loves that. The Relic. Another one of my favorites. Another one of my favorite creature feature movies. I love The Relic with Tom Sizemore. Rest in peace. Penelope Ann Miller. Always loved a monster in a museum. I always love The Relic. Love the film to death. They also directed the Musketeer, which was kind of like iffy on that though. Sound of Thunder, which it could have had potential, but there was just so many problems with that movie, you know, especially with production and also unfinished special effects, which you can clearly see on the screen. Good concept, whether it's based on a book or not, which it is, sorry, but if it is though, but saying good concept, had potential though, but it was just, you know, it was a failure of a movie, you know, but yeah, it is definitely one of his weaker movies though, but definitely. But overall, you know, the films he's directed though, I've really enjoyed it. Like I said, from The Relic to End of Days, Narrow Margin, 2010, Outland, and then of course the Van Damme's films with Sudden Death and Timecop. But Timecop, I really enjoyed it though, and this is one of the few Van Damme movies that was actually a big hit. You know, it made over 100 million worldwide. It's one of Van Damme's highest grossing films he starred in the lead. But and it was pretty successful, you know. I think this could have been a franchise for Van Damme, you know, because you have all the rising action stars at the time had their own franchises, you know. You have like with Stallone with the Rambo movies, or Arnold with the Terminator movies, the big action stars, right? And or Harrison Ford with the Indiana Jones, right? I thought this could have been a franchise for Van Damme. Now, of course, but later on, years later, there was a Timecop 2 that starred Jason Scott Lee, which that was not a good sequel overall, I would say, though. And there was a TV show which I never knew they made a TV show of. You know, sadly, because this could have been, because this was Van Damme's big hit, you know, but this could have been a franchise from I would like to have seen for sequels, right? But the thing is, though, at the time, though, Van Damme, I think he was like doing drugs, you know, during this time of, within these times he did these movies in the 90s, you know, and plus he was kind of egotistical, though, of course, but I still think that Steven Seagal, I think his egos. I still think his ego is far much bigger than Van Damme's is, though, so to speak, you know. I mean, he's the one who says he thinks he's better than Van Damme, you know. I'm like, compare it to how the actors, compare how they are, both of them, how they are today. I also say that Van Damme could still whip Steven Seagal's ass today, I would say. And plus, Seagal didn't have that too many shitty, 90% of shitty direct-to-video movies. While Van Damme has done decent direct-to-video movies as well, so it makes him has surpasses Seagal in that area. Plus, like I said, but with his ego, though, I think he demanded like $20 million paychecks for his films. I guess they kind of ended his contract with Universal because, while this one was a hit, but his films later on afterwards weren't hits, you know. I mean, Sudden Death, while I liked Sudden Death a lot, the only big flaw is that there was too many obvious stunt doubles, way too many obvious stunt doubles. It was kind of like whenever the action happened, it was kind of like downplaying on that for me a lot, though. That was the biggest flaw with that movie, though. But overall, action-wise, I enjoyed Sudden Death, despite a whole bunch of obvious stunt doubles, though. I mean, which you can clearly see there are. And then after what he did after Sudden Death, what was he did after Sudden Death? Because that was like a Sudden Death wasn't that huge, though. Well, there was another film he did. Well, the other films I liked, you know, that they did afterwards, like there was like Replicant, and there was Double Team. I reviewed Double Team long ago. That was one starred basketball star Dennis Rodman. But then afterwards he did, but those weren't hits though. Including the other film I forgot to mention though, but it'll come to me sooner though. But then afterwards he started doing direct-to-video movies. You know, I mean there was some that I really liked. You know, of course other some there wasn't. Until he did like Expendables 2 as Vallon. But overall, the films he did afterwards were not that big hits, though. That's why he probably did more direct-to-video movies. And it's too bad, you know, because I think Van Damme did a really good job of this film as the character of Max Walker. And Peter Hyams did a good job, too, you know. The score by Mark Isham, who's done scores on quite a few other movies as well. I thought his score was fine overall. And as for the rest of the cast, I mean, after Van Damme, you have Ron Silver. I'm right there. Ron Silver, sadly, is no longer with us. Rest in peace to him. He can play a pretty good bad guy, which in this film he's a corrupt senator who wants to be president. But Ron Silver, he was also a bad guy in Blue Steel, and also what was that one movie? He was a bad guy in two. Blue Steel. Crap. Hold on. Well, I'll look it up a second here. But there was another film I also enjoyed that was also my favorite Chuck Norris film, Silent Rage. Oh, yeah, it was a film with Jeff Speakman. It was called Deadly Outbreak. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. And he was also in also ones like Reversal of Fortune as well, and The Arrival with Charlie Sheen. But, yeah, that was thinking about Deadly Outbreak. But he was also a bad guy, and also with Blue Steel, also with star Jamie Lee Curtis. But sadly, Ron Silver, he's passed away a long time ago. Sad to say, though. But he was also, like I said, Silent Rage as well. Ron Silver can be a pretty good bad guy too, you know. And also you have Mia Sara. Mia Sara plays Van Damme's wife in this. Now Mia Sara, she starred in when she first started in Ridley Scott's Legend with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry. Also, she started Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Probably known for her starring in that role too as well. But I thought she was pretty decent in this movie as Van Damme's wife. The guy who plays the captain of Van Damme is played by Bruce McGill, which he's been in other movies as well. One I remember, of course, he was in Law Abiding Citizen, a friend of Jamie Foxx. He was also in the beginning of The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis, where he was Bruce Willis caught him cheating on his wife. Cheating on Bruce Willis's wife, and after that, like head or gut, Mike. Gut. And then he gets in his car and he explodes because the bad guys wired it. But Bruce McGill has been also a lot of other films too. So, and since he was a captain of not police though, but it's like the TEC. There was a regarding about time travel. He's like the captain of the group, but so he's not the typical shouting, screaming captain or disowning his fellow officers, right? No, he's actually, him and Van Damme were really good friends, which I bought that. So you get pretty recognizable people in this movie. So, but I said in this story, okay, it opens up in 1863 during the Civil War, and there's a guy who stands in the middle row while these Confederate soldiers are transporting some stuff, and the guy standing in the middle of the road says, give me your gold, because if they're carrying gold. So he does and goes and pulls these two high-tech guns and starts shooting them all. Which the way he was shooting, looks like he thought he was going to hit the horses, but he didn't, though. And then it turns back to the present, where these higher ups, go to these senators to about time travel, right? So they develop an agency to retain, from any of these people for making any changes to the past, alter the future, right? Called the TEC, and yeah, TEC, Time Enforcement Commission. So, and they realized that by the people who were setting up this meeting to talk with the senators, they realized that some of the gold that was stolen from the past has been manipulated into the future to buy off, certain special things. So then we get to Van Damme, who was at this mall waiting for his wife, played by Mia Sara. And he goes after this guy who tries to attempt to snatch an old lady's purse, and Van Damme puts his foot out, about to kick the guy in the face, right? He says, read it. And it says Wolverine. He said, no, not that, And then the guy gets the message and ends up returning the purse to the old lady. So And after that, they get their photo taken. They're at their house, and they get ambushed by these guys because because of they ambushed Van Damme, shooting him, but he had his bulletproof vest on though. So, and of course, it turns out later on, turns out they're from the future. They came back, you know. So they blow up the house. His wife dies, and now it's 10 years later. He's become now part of the TEC. And now for the action I would say is there. It's not a horrible fight, so it's not wall-to-wall Van Damme action. Is not. But probably the action was not that bad. I mean, some Van Damme doing some stuff, you know, like he's because he goes back. He goes to the time. This time is 1929, where his ex-partner goes there and starts taking money, right? And Van Damme tries to tell him that, you know, it's a senator, Ron Silver's character, that he's the one who's being crooked. He's the one who told him to do this. Like, he's the one who, because he's holding his. If Van Damme's ex-partner tried to say something, his family would die, right? So despite that, he takes him back, tries to, you know, have a trial for him, but he denies everything. So they take him back from that in that time period, and make him resume falling as he was before he got sent back, right? So he falls to his death from the building. And then they meet with Ron Silver, because there was another agent that gets transferred who was from Eternal Affairs, and which the actress is played by Gloria Rubin. Gloria Rubin, which I don't see her doing that much though. But she's supposed to be with Van Damme to go and retrieve next target, which turns out to be Ron Silver. So they get to this warehouse, and Gloria Rubin turns out that she's a bit of a turncoat. She didn't explain why though, but even they were asking questions. You know, is your family being held hostage or something? They do what you say because Ron Silver has her in her pocket. So, but then he ends up getting shot, getting put in a hospital, and so, but he gets away. And then when she goes to the hospital, first of all, by the time he gets back, some things have changed, and now that Ron Silver is now president, and Bruce McGill doesn't remember him much because they weren't friends, even though in the original timeline they were. So he wants him to get back there. So he gets back there. And he goes to the hospital, and she points out some information on our guys, and then before he comes back, she's dead. Because they gave her a shot that they went through her, you know, those two things that stick in your arm, right? So a nurse comes in thinking that he did it, so he gets out of there. And so he goes and meets with his wife at the mall where they were earlier. Tells her, because he was at the hospital trying to get some blood for Gloria Rubin, right? But he finds some blood with his wife's name on it, and it turns out that she was pregnant because earlier before his wife died in that fire and the whole house exploded, right? He uses that because before he was supposed to leave, his wife was going to tell him something, but he said, "Okay, wait till later," right? He's here but the medicine he was getting, with her blood, it marked her name on it, and it turns out she's pregnant. Kind of like showed like a bit of a shock on his face though. And so he goes to the mall and then he finds her and tells her what's going on. And so and some of the fights you like earlier when he was in his apartment and the guys are fighting, like knife fighting him, and then one guy who has a taser, which another instance where he does the splits, like he did at the beginning of the movie, and there's another instance where he does the splits, like this one right here, on the counter, because the guy had a taser and they spilled a water jug over, so he gets electrocuted. So it shows him nice that Van Damme doing the splits, you know. And so after that, jumping back ahead now. So they head back to the old house. Well, his house before it would explode. And Van Damme does some decent fights with the bad guys, the henchmen, right? Like I said, it's not wall-to-wall action like Jet Li level action, right? But still. And then lean to another when they finally sorry. Also, because we fight the bad guys that came in from the past, I mean, from the future, to do, because that's what they did in the first place, what they came back for, right? And one of the bad guys like, why don't you sleep on it? Because that's what we heard earlier before, and so then Van Damme's like, oh, he already told me that before. He was referring to his younger self, and then he goes and breaks the guy's neck, which was still very cool though. And then after that was when they go back to the house, finds out everyone's there. So, and by the time he gets back to his house, inside his house, Ron Silver's there waiting, and then Van Damme uses his cleverness and fights over the other Ron Silver, right? And since they couldn't be near each other, the bad guy is getting frustrated. That's okay. He's not answering though. So, but they have him go there. And after that, think everything was all over. I was waiting for a pop-up for the traitorous Secret Service agent to pop up in there. I don't know why. And since their bodies can't come in contact with each other, though, Van Damme pushes the younger Ron Silver into the older one, and they merge together. Now the effects the effects of the two of them merging together, it's especially for 1994. It's still very off, obviously. But I give leeway because I like the whole thing of the two of them just merging together and just being out of existence. So I give lenience on the CGI though, but I can still say even from 1994, the CGI in that part was not that good at all though. Although another nitpick I would say though, because there is a kind of a weird thing going on with this, because when they time travel, they go through this portal, which is this gate right here, right? And whenever Van Damme and the girl, when they first get in this pod. Not like a racing pod, but the pod you go into the time travel with, right? They go in there. By the time they come out, though, no, I'm saying spacecraft, but, a flying, machine. But it's kind of a weird thing, like, they were in there when they went through, but they don't have it when they get out. So I'm just like, how's that weird? And also, by the time Van Damme gets back, he's in the pod still. So I'm like, how is this like a weird thing going on? I don't know. This is like, they're there, but they're gone. So I don't know what was going on there. Although there's no commentary on this, so I'd like to hear Sam Raimi's opinion on this film. Or that part there. Maybe this could afford it. Who knows? But after that, though, of course you get the fun action and the finale as well. Kind of the finale we saw like in Rambo or Beverly Hills Cop 3. But afterwards, you know. But Timecop, I really enjoyed the film. You know, it's listen to now because he went back in time and he found his ex-lover that he loved, and she died. So by the time he came back, he was so happy to see him, even though in the dumpster area though. But overall, yeah, I still enjoy this film, Timecop. It's definitely one of my favorite Van Damme movies. And it's too bad this never got franchised, you know, because I thought Van Damme was very solid in this movie. Very solid in this film. And some people would agree, of course. But I still enjoy Timecop. It has a low rating on Rotten Tomato, really enough. I mean, it has like a 42%. I would disagree with that. 42% is way too low for this movie. It has like a 5.9 IMDb, which I will still, once again, I still give it higher ratings. But regardless, though, I still enjoyed Timecop. The sequel, not so much, but overall, still a very solid movie. I think Peter Hyams, I think he did a really good job with this film. And it's too bad with this it never got a franchise, you know, because I would like to see this as a franchise. But even despite doing that well at the box office, I just think it wasn't like huge hits like, say, with the Indiana Jones movies or such. But I like the concept of it. But it's kind of a nitpick thing in saying that the pause they get in, it comes through, but when they're out of the portal into the destination where they go to, the pause is not there. I don't know why. But Timecop, it was really fun. I still had fun with the movie. Van Damme, during this time, despite his issues though, his real life issues, but I think still Van Damme was still Van Damme. Like, you saw the charisma and the energy. People say, oh, his he could talk more in English now, a little bit more. Okay. But overall, I still enjoy the film. I love Timecop, you know. It's too bad with this never got a franchise, let alone a sequel, because I would like to have seen it. But overall, yeah, Timecop, really solid, fun movie, you know. But other ones like Bruce McGill he was fine. What was the one who played the replacement Pink Ranger? You know. But overall, yeah, Timecop. If anyone's a fan of Timecop or Van Damme, that for that matter, go give it a watch. I advise you to watch Timecop. It's a one of my favorite Van Damme movies. You know. Yeah, it sucks how just people are becoming just much less, and people are much better being smart about, you know, when it comes to the. I'm not getting to that though. That's another time though. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed Timecop regardless. But anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time. Later. And once again, Peter Hyams, great job as usual. Later.